So, Twilight taught an entire generation of girls that the ideal boyfriend is a 100-year-old man who breaks into your bedroom to watch you sleep. That's right, Edward Cullen is literally old enough to have fought in World War I, and he's dating a high schooler. Somebody check the hard drive. Stick around because we're about to retell Twilight with more sarcasm, more restraining order, red flags, and absolutely zero respect for Edward's Volvo. We begin with Bella Swan, the human embodiment of a shrug. Bella is being emotionally abandoned by her mum, who remarries and immediately goes, "All right, I've raised you enough. Enjoy Washington." So Bella moves to Forks, Washington, which is apparently the wettest, most depressing town in America. Perfect setting for a romance novel. Nothing says love story like a vitamin D deficiency and seasonal depression. Bella's whole vibe is, I'm not like other girls, but in the most I am exactly like other girls who think they're not like other girls way possible. She moves in with her dad, Charlie, who communicates exclusively through uncomfortable silence and decades of bottled-up emotions. Day one at Forks High School, and Bella spots Edward Cullen across the cafeteria. Bella is lip-biting, gasping, trembling. I almost had to check if the X-rated version of this movie was playing. It was like the director said, "Do your best impression of the fanny flutters," and she nailed it. Edward is just sat there staring back at Bella like his self-control just clocked out for the day. Edward literally stares so hard that several guys in 2008 tried this in real life and are still on their restraining orders to this day. Edward looks like he's been marinating in sadness and hair gel for a century, and Bella's over here like, yes, this emotionally unavailable marble statue is exactly what I need. Edward's first reaction to Bella, he looks at her like she just shat the bed. Pure disgust, absolute revulsion. And does Bella think, maybe this guy's a dick? Nope, she thinks, I must have him. Classic red flag behavior, but we move. In biology class, Edward literally holds his nose around Bella because apparently she smells so good he wants to commit murder. Apparently, Edward's lust for Bella makes her smell irresistible. Or, and hear me out, maybe she was just on her period? Kinda gives a whole new meaning to the movie, doesn't it? Then Edward disappears for a week. He just ghosts her, no explanation. And when he comes back, he's suddenly Mr. Nice Guy with the personality of wet cardboard and the emotional intelligence of a spoon. They finally manage to actually speak to each other, but their conversation has the chemistry of a malfunctioning Alexa. Here's where it gets wild. A van nearly crushes Bella in the school parking lot, and Edward, who was standing 30 feet away, suddenly appears, stops the van with his hand, and leaves a dent shaped like his palm. Any normal person would say, "Hey, how did you teleport?" But Bella's too busy getting the fanny flutters to ask basic logical questions. Bella becomes obsessed with figuring out what Edward is, so she Googles him, which in 2008 means she types "cold strong man" into Ask Jeeves and hopes for the best. Meanwhile, Edward's out here driving a Volvo. My guy, you've had 104 years to pick a car. You could have chosen a Mustang, a Corvette, literally anything cool, but no, you went with a Volvo. The safest car on Earth. A vehicle designed exclusively for people who clap when the plane lands. This man could have driven anything, and he said, no, I want something that says divorced dentist. If you're enjoying this recap and slowly realizing that Twilight was just a bouquet of red flags with a soundtrack, hit that like and subscribe button because it only gets more unhinged from here, and you don't want to miss out on our retelling of New Moon. All right, back to the chaos before Bella gets the fanny flutters so bad we have to put up the wet floor signs. Bella confronts Edward in the woods, and Edward explains he's a monster. Whilst Bella explains she has zero survival instincts, Edward confirms he's a vampire, but not a cool vampire, a vegetarian vampire. He only drinks animal blood, which apparently makes him morally superior, so he's basically the vegan Dracula. Edward then takes Bella up a mountain to show her why he can't go in the sunlight, and we're all expecting something spectacular like bursting into flames, melting, or turning into ash. But nope. He steps into the sunlight and sparkles like a disco ball, like he fell into a pile of body glitter at a 2008 craft store. Bella looks at this grown man, shimmering like a Twilight-themed bath bomb, and thinks, yes, this is peak masculinity. Well, I guess it must be the Volvo. Edward then tells Bella he's been alive since 1901, which makes him 104 years old, and he's dating a 17-year-old. In any other context, this man would be on a register. But because he sparkles and has good cheekbones, we're calling it romance. Cue the line that launched 1 million Pinterest quotes. I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore. Sir, you met her yesterday. Also, Edward admits he's been breaking into Bella's room at night to watch her sleep for months before they even started dating. And Bella's response, that's kinda hot. No, Bella, that's a felony. Remove the vampire context, and this practically becomes a child safety video. Edward also reveals he can read everyone's thoughts, except Bella's, and honestly, that tracks. Because Bella doesn't have any thoughts. Her internal monologue is just static, and the occasional word Edward on loop. Edward takes Bella to meet his family, the Cullens, who are all hot, immortal, and suspiciously pale. Like gingers who have been hoarding hair dye since 1901. Had to get at least one in there. The Cullens play vampire baseball during a thunderstorm because apparently that's the only time they can play without the humans hearing, and it's the most dramatic, unnecessary scene in cinema history. They're sliding into bases, doing backflips, hitting home runs into the stratosphere, and I'm just sat there thinking, bro, chill, this is not the Hunger Games. Then 3 nomad vampires show up, James, Victoria, and Laurent. James clocks Bella immediately because apparently she smells like the vampire equivalent of limited edition Doritos. Again, probably just that time of the month. James is a tracker vampire, which means he's basically a serial killer with a hobby. He starts hunting Bella like she's a limited edition Beanie Baby, and everyone panics. The Cullens try to hide Bella, but she's got the survival instincts of a soggy goldfish. James lures Bella to an abandoned ballet studio using fake audio of her mum. And Bella, despite every red flag waving in 4K, goes anyway. She doesn't tell anyone, just sneaks away to face a vampire alone. No backup, no plan, just vibes and a master's degree in poor life choices. She gets to the ballet studio and, surprise, James lied. Her mum's fine. He just wanted to lure Bella into a trap, which worked because Bella has one functioning brain cell and it's currently on vacation. James proceeds to beat the absolute hell out of Bella, throws her into mirrors, bites her, breaks her leg, and she's just lying there like a broken Barbie doll, waiting for the plot armor to kick in. Edward finally bursts in, and they fight like it's a WWE match with fangs. Edward rips James apart, but Bella's turning into a vampire. Carlisle's like, suck the venom out or she joins the undead club. Edward hesitates because what if he can't stop, but does it anyway, saving her in the most intimate, blood-sucking scene since Dracula's Tinder profile. Bella wakes up in the hospital, broken leg, bruised everywhere, and her main concern, why didn't you just let me turn into a vampire? Bella, you nearly died. Let's focus on not bleeding out before you start thinking about glitter. Her parents show up, and everyone lies about what happened. They tell them Bella fell down the stairs. Yeah, fell down the stairs, through a window, into a ballet studio, got mauled by a vampire. Happens all the time. Edward takes Bella to prom in a leg cast, and they have this big dramatic conversation where Bella's like, turn me into a vampire, and Edward's like, no, I want you to have a human life. Which is rich coming from the guy who's been dating a high schooler for months and has the life experience of someone who lived through the invention of sliced bread. They dance, they kiss. Edward continues to be emotionally constipated, and the movie ends with Victoria watching from the trees, plotting revenge because nothing says healthy relationship like your boyfriend's enemies stalking you at prom. And that's Twilight, a story about questionable age gaps, abusive relationship dynamics, and the irrefutable proof that vampires used to be cool until the writer made them sparkle like she had a glitter fetish. But before you go, we've hidden Edward's Volvo keys somewhere in this video. If you spotted them, comment the timestamp and a car emoji below. See you in the next one.